Hello, everyone. This is Farah Danish. Today, I have Mariam Arafat with me. She is a marriage coach, and she is very passionate about empowering women. And she wants to make them emotionally strong and confident so that they can strengthen bonds, have fulfilling conversations, which help them in cultivating lasting love to thrive and love unconditionally. Don't we all want that, Mariam?
Yes, we all are craving for that.
Yes, yes. And one of the main reasons why I have you on board today, Mariam, is I know you're a fantastic marriage coach, but the main reason why I have a special needs background and I work with families with special needs is when parents call me and they tell me that, they have a child on the spectrum and what they can do to help. There are so many things you can tell them, but the support essentially has to come from the house, from the home, from the family. And I always have to remind them that they have to limit their expectations from external forces, which is like therapists or schools. It has to come from the family. If you're not on the same page, we can be having this conversation. We can be having these conversations, but it's not going to go anywhere if you and your partner are not supporting each other, or if you don't have the necessary infrastructure in terms of support to take this forward. Sorry, Mayam, I know you have an allergy and you've been such a great sport to still agree to do this with me. So keeping that in mind, what is your take on marriage role in this setup?
Yeah, Jazakallah khair for inviting me, allowing me to come here and be part of your amazing work, because I know you're doing amazing and fantastic work. That work needs a lot in today's time and day. So giving my bit of experience and from what I have seen from clients is home is the foundation. That's what the sunnah is also. That's why we are supposed to get married, to have the units. And that is important for communities. Now, if the home is not, the foundation is not solid, that is the relationship between the husband and the wife, that is not solid, that is not strong. Any challenges you have, whether you have a special needs child or you have any other ailment, any other stresses from outside, you will not be able to handle, because this in itself is very challenging, very stressful. It takes up a lot of your emotional capability. You have to manage so many things. Like physical stress is also there, but more on the emotional stress. And before you become a parent, you are a husband and wife. Yeah. So keeping that role top priority, that no matter what, yes, our child needs us, but we both come first. So, having that strong bond is pivotal in handling any situation, because you have to give your best to the child, not the remaining bits and pieces. If you're not happy in your marriage, there's some conflict, there's some stress, and marriages will have conflict. Marriages will have stress because you're living with another human being. So how to understand him, how your husband understands you, you have to give your marriage time. Like, let's say 10-15 minutes every day, just for you and your husband. Yeah. Just the husband and wife sit, they talk, and they don't talk about anything else. It's just their pure time. Even if you're not talking, you're holding hands. Yeah. Or you're having a cup of tea. Together. That's it. Just to start off. And from what I have seen with special needs kids, there are going to be moments where you will be vulnerable. Yeah. You will need that, especially women, you will need that emotional support from your husband, where you would just want to be on his shoulder and just cry. Yeah. Not say a word, not say anything, but to have that strong pillar with you as a woman, for you to go and vent, because it's your child. Yeah. You will not have that support from any external family or friends or something, but your husband is such a strong pillar of strength that you just go hug him and just cry out, and you'll be fine after 5 minutes, because we've had that, emotional release. But to have him as a strength, pillar of strength, again, you have to do the work. I know women say, why do I have to do the work? But then I'm like, that's what the Seerah tells us. That's the role of the mothers of the believers. That's what we learn from them. That they provide such a strong support system to the Prophet ﷺ that, it flourished. So it's the same way, yes, you have the capability, you have the capacity as a woman, but you have to have a strong support system as well. Your husband on one side, and then your friends, your family, your trusted people with you. Let's say just 5 people apart from your husband. You have that. Yeah. You were saying, sorry, I cut you.
Yeah, I can't remember why I cut you in, but oh yeah, I remember now when you were talking about being able to cry in front of your husband. Now that what is gonna basically lead me on to my next point is that women usually feel that they know what their child needs, right? They're like, okay, I mean, even though it's also his child, the girl or the boy, your daughter or your son is also his child, but it's a very automatic role. We assume that we know best. And most of the time we do, yes. Okay. But taking that power away from him when we say we know what therapy the child needs, we know what, because for us women, we are wired so emotionally that we attach emotions to everything. And that's why you have marketeers play, with that emotion of ours, right? They're like, your child can do this, your child can do this. And men have a very logical way of thinking, so they will question things. They're like, yeah, but how are you going to achieve that? As women, we usually don't even want to know that next question. We're so emotionally driven that we're like, oh my God, we start imagining that our child can do this. And that's it. We're not asking the important questions. And men usually, because of the way they think, do ask those questions. I'm saying that personally because when Suleiman was diagnosed, we spent money out of our ears and every place where we could, get that money from. And we spent no expense part, right? We spent everything on Suleiman. The most expensive therapy, you name it, he's done it and he's been there, right? And there were many times when my husband would tell me, yeah, but how long are you going to sustain that? And in my head, I'm like, oh, but once he does that therapy, he's going to be fine. We won't need to continue this. But most children need it for a very long time. It's not like a 1-year gig, right?
Yeah.
Can you sustain it for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years? So we have to be practical, which we're not. Yeah, which usually women are not because we're so emotionally driven. So what message can you give to those mothers where they're like, oh, our husband doesn't understand. My child needs 10 therapy sessions and my husband doesn't understand. He doesn't think that he needs those 10 sessions. So, I mean, how would a wife and a husband be able to come to terms or be on the same page when that is their situation? Or you think that is something to look at later? First, we develop on, where we're at mentally, then we start talking about those things. So, yeah.
Yeah. See, again, I'm going to go back to the point that you, as a husband and wife, need to have a very strong bond. Your communication has to be like on such a level that you don't have to say the words. And this is not fairy tale. Let me just say that this is not fairy tale. That you see the eyes of your husband or the color of the face, and you know that something is wrong. He doesn't need to say. And the same happens for you. He sees you, he sees your body language, and he knows something is off. So that level of understanding, which is possible at any stage of marriage, alhamdulillah. I created this, alhamdulillah, with the guidance of Allah after 15 years of marriage. It was not there in the beginning. So that's why I'm saying it. You can have it at any stage of marriage. You just have to put in the work. And if you don't have that, let's say you don't have that, just listen. Active listening. Because when you look at the communication skills, the formula is 7% words, and 93% is non-verbal. That is your body language, your gestures, your face, your eyes, you know. And active listening is when you slow down and when you just listen to the other person without responding. You listen. You don't play answers in your game. Like when you were talking, the answers were coming in my mind. Okay, this is how I'm going to answer it. That's not active listening.
Yeah.
Active listening, when I'm saying something, you just listen to my words and feel the emotions behind the words. And
Yeah, and
this is
not
where I
form your response instead.
no, no,
That's what we do,
because
right?
I was forming my yeah, women
Women
do
are
it.
like that. Yeah.
That's the rule. And subhanAllah, that's why a man and a woman come together to form a family unit. Because woman is emotional, she's the nurturer, she is from the raham, and the man is the provider. He's
Yeah.
focused, he's logic, he sees the goal.
Things differently. Yeah.
It's and in today's term, it's called masculine and feminine,
Yeah.
which the Sirah teaches us. The Quran teaches us the role of the man and the woman. And if he's not ready,
Hmm.
let's say if the husband is not ready, he's just been diagnosed, or it's been a couple of years that diagnosis is there, he's not ready to invest in therapy. You have someone because he is the provider. He is the one who has to take the decisions.
Yeah.
What you do is you don't stop everything. No, you take a step back, you honor your husband's words. Okay, he feels it's not necessary now. Okay, you get up for tahajjud. You increase your connection with Allah
Hmm.
because your husband will be guided by Allah. So,
Hmm.
you know, you increase that, you increase your supplication, you increase your du'as, you continue your research, you read books, you do your homework.
Yeah.
So when your husband, and you be absolutely very nice with your husband.
I
No
also,
nasty.
you're right that you say that for whatever reason, if the husband feels that we can't, pursue these therapies, and he would have some really valid reasons for that because he also has other roles to play. He's also not only a father and a husband, he's a son, he's a brother, he's got other responsibilities as well. And I've always told women that if your husband, for whatever reason, feels that, okay, I can't do these therapies, why don't you take matters in your own hands? Why don't you go learn? Why don't you work on yourself and see how you can provide? And for me, because you're talking about women empowerment, right? That is what empowered me, to be honest. When there came a time where we were really struggling, I was frustrated, not financially struggling. We were ready to pay. And I was like, I mean, there's so many balls up in the air. First, there were financial issues, but that's sorted. Alhamdulillah, the kids, I mean, they're getting the care they need. They've got therapists, external, in-house school system, all of that. What was draining is that I had to I had to spoon feed
Yeah.
everyone, because the bigger the team, the more effort you have to put to bring everyone in together. And I felt empowered when my husband said that, why does Suleiman have to go to a mainstream school? That just made me think. That's his logical masculine side, like you're saying. That just, he's like, who says that learning only happens in schools, in in between four walls? It can happen anywhere, right? We're living in such a digital age where all the work that you need is on the computer. You can download everything. You can learn, do a few courses, and you can do this yourself. So why are you, because of he's like, you're putting so much effort teaching the therapists and the
Mm.
teachers what they should be, how they should be applying, certain skills towards Suleiman, how they should be working on something. Like, why don't you do that?
Mm.
It's the same energy you have. Where do you want to use it? And that, I have to say, was one of the most liberating things. And that could only happen when I gave in and didn't, push him for another center, because, the money was not the problem. I didn't push him. I did the active listening, because I'm connecting the dots with what you're saying now. I did the active listening at that time. I'm like, okay, what's the worst that can happen? He's only 7 years old. And his younger brother, Harun, at that time, he's also just 5 years old. Why not? We went to Malaysia, did homeschooling, and it was the most amazing 7 years of my life. homeschooling the kids. There was no schedule, there was no pressure. We weren't financially obligated anywhere. So as husband and wife, we were enjoying our relationship and we were enjoying being with the kids completely. So you're right. You're right. Sometimes active listening can make such a difference, can change the whole course of your life. That just one simple active listening that I did, right?
And
So
as that's very true. And something you said that, I had to give in. So this, I'm very careful with the words. You don't give in. You invited your husband to be part of this. If you would have resisted and pushed him that no, this therapy is required at this time, this is what he needs, maybe the therapy wouldn't have worked and you would have pushed your husband away. So
mm,
what you did is you invited him in by
mm,
you stepping back powerfully,
mm,
not like, oh, I am the victim and oh, my husband doesn't understand and this and that. No negative narrative. You stepped back powerfully and said, okay, let him take the lead. In this way, he has a very strong bond. And I can see that Ismail has a very strong bond with Suleiman, mashallah, because it was you who did the work.
mm.
You invited him to take the lead, take the role, and then take things forward. Maybe, okay, he doesn't feel that this therapy is not required for him. You do the work again. He is part of the decision. So women need to do that. Instead of pushing the husband away, take it as this thing that this is coming from Allah. If it's meant to be, no matter what, this thing will be done because this is what we believe in, right? If
Yeah.
it's between the two mountains also, you will find it. If it's meant for you, it will come. So continue your connection with Allah. Work on your connection with your husband. Yes, it is stressful. So have your friends around, your girlfriends around. Vent on
Able to
in
talk.
and cry with them, go out for dates, pamper yourself, have me time. You need to give yourself alone time
Yeah.
so that you fill up yourself. Your cup must be overflowing
Yeah.
because
These are
when it's
things that kids need
overflowing,
to see.
yeah,
Yeah.
and whatever is taken, your cup doesn't reduce.
Yeah.
It's over. We have this analogy that fill up your cup. It
I
should
love
be
it.
must overflowing so that the overflowing part is given to the family and when they take it your cup is not reduced, so continuously work on that. If
Mm.
you physically cannot go, have online friends.
Yeah.
Today online is like the best thing, so have virtual friends
Yeah.
and invite your husband in conversations. Invite your husband in, okay, I read this book. This is a very nice book, mashallah, or I listened to this podcast. This is so nice. Would you like to listen to it? And if he says yes, then let him listen and then get him involved and say, what do you think? Does this make sense? Should we apply? It's not I against him, it's we along with our child.
Mm.
Work as a team. Team
Yeah.
effort is important. You have to work as a team.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go next with that. What can we do as husbands and as a husband and wife to show kids that we have a united front, you know? And that can be one is obviously whatever, path we choose for our children. Children need to know that both the parents feel the same way about it. But there are like, anything in activity that you could do or just general thing in the house that you can do which shows children that, oh, if Baba has said no, it means the same for mom as well. Like how can we enforce, not, I don't want to use the word enforce again, you want to be able to drive home that idea with kids that that's how it is. But a simple thing that we do is when my when my husband is with his kids, the kid like, who's your best friend, which one of us is your best friend and all that, and he will very outrightly tell them that it's your mom, she'll always be my best friend, and then it's all of you, like that. That's his way of showing that we're close-knit team.
That's
So
powerful. Mashallah.
yeah, so and I think what I'm trying to say is that kids see parents fight as well. like I said, it's normal. How can that be portrayed or done in a productive manner that kids learn from those experiences, that okay, parents can have disagreements, they're not, mother doesn't blindly follow everything the father says, she has a voice too, they need to see that as well. So how can you have these arguments in a respectful manner where children learn productively from it? Because they will also one day grow up, have fights, and we should be able to model behavior we want them to take on.
Mm. Have the conversations with your husband in the bedroom or somewhere private, not in front of the kids, and have an agreement that if I have said no to one thing, even though you don't agree with it, you will tell me when we are in the room or when we are away from the kids, not in front of the kids. Because this kind of disagreement in front of the kids, where one parent is saying, yes, you can have PlayStation for 30 minutes, and the other parent is saying, no, you cannot have. You're not going as a team.
Yeah.
So even if you disagree with your spouse, hold on to it and have that disagreement in the room. Have a talk and then say, okay, I've reconsidered. Yes, you can have the PlayStation for 30 minutes. Come back as a team and do it. And even if you have a fight, let's say disagreement, you've had a conflict, there's stress in the house, kids get the vibe, the energy is there. They can sense something is wrong. So instead of saying, if the children ask, what's wrong? Why aren't you and Baba talking? Is everything okay? Instead of saying, oh, your father did this, he's always wrong. He's always this. Just say, yes, me and your father have had a disagreement. We are absolutely fine. We're just giving each other our space and we will be okay. I appreciate your concern. You have validated your child's feeling. You haven't disregarded your husband's position or role in front of
the kids.
The child.
Yeah.
If you want to vent, call your friend. If you want to complain, call your friend, text your friend. Trusted friend, not any friend who's going to guide you.
Who just act fuel to fire.
No, who will really tell you, okay, relax, calm down, and then go and reconcile, repair with your husband. And then when you come back again in front of the kids, you tell your child, the same child who asked you the question, see, this happened. Mama, Baba, two humans living together, we fight, but then we are friends again. So the child knows that, okay, conflict is part of the marriage, it happens, but you can respectfully come together as well. You don't have to shame, you don't have to blame or disrespect each other. No, that's not part of the manners.
Yeah.
In a marriage, you have to have manners in that between you and your husband. And respect is part of being good manners, right? So no matter what he says, apart from being abusive and toxic, let me be very clear. If he's saying something, no, this therapy is not, just wait. No therapy, no nothing for now. You have to wait. Wait. You don't have to get angry about it. Okay, if you're getting angry, go out for a walk. There's so many self-regulation tools. Apply them for yourself. Like you said.
Hold on to your thoughts. You don't have to suddenly, you don't have to respond.
You don't have to respond. And you have to become the magnet that everyone comes around you. You have the capability. I know in our Asian cultures, when a woman is sitting there and her husband is going round and round, we say, oh, she's dissolved something and given him to drink, or she's done some magic. No, it's not magic. It's not something she's given her. She knows how to be there for her husband, how to attract him with her vibes, with her energy, with her feminine presence, with just being present, and the husband knows, okay, something is off. That is powerful. And that is what is needed in today's time in marriages, whether you have a challenging child or you have a normal child. Anything, this is the foundation of the marriage. To come together as a
there I get a lot of calls from mothers, and this is obviously a very Asian challenge, where apart from, you are one unit where it's father, mother, and the kids, and then you have in-laws who interfere in things about raising your special needs child, which they have no clue about. It's they have no clue about what the needs and requirements are for autism, for instance. And I'm sure they're coming from a place of care where they ask that, oh, just a couple of therapies and he'll start talking, or he'll start meeting milestones. I'm not saying that they won't, but those questions are very difficult to answer for a mother because she doesn't know either. And that's like an extra stress that, oh, I have to show what I have, utilized that money for. So how should a wife, I mean, considering that her husband also has that pressure, because he's using his money for his own children, whatever way, he still has to answer people. He feels he needs to answer to people, even though that's not the case. How can a wife in this situation, because I'm talking specifically to them through this podcast, is that how can they drive the ship here where, in-laws are kept in their place and not, allow that to interfere her marriage or whatever work she's doing with her children or child?
Confidence. She needs to have immense confidence. Work on herself, work on her confidence, and write down the values. What are her values as a family, as a mother, for her family, for her marriage? What are her values? Values can be, quality time. Values are being honest. Values are boundaries. Write down those so that you are very clear on what you want as a woman, as a mother, as a wife. And then communication, yes, big part of communication with the husband. Whatever I said before, apply that here as well. And have boundaries, firm boundaries for herself. When we talk about boundaries, it's like, okay, it's for other people. No, boundaries are for yourself. Because yes, you have like, okay, again, going to the PlayStation example, 13 minutes of PlayStation, the child comes and asks, okay, can I have half an hour more? You give him permission, you have crossed your boundary.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have created a boundary, let's say, okay, your child is not allowed to have donuts because it makes the child hyper and he's not going to sleep at night. So no donuts. Tell the family members that no donuts for my child. He can have something else. If they don't listen, be very gentle, be very nice, and tell your family, see, I said no donuts. Please do not offer him. If they say it again, then you need to have the confidence and say, just one finger, not allowed. Thank you. Because sometimes with hand gestures, you have to put the brake. If they don't listen, if they are persisting that no, one donut, nothing happens, you're just exaggerating. Oh, don't make him, Hawa. In Urdu, they say.
Make a big deal about it.
Yeah. So you like with the hand.
It's because it's not about the donut. It's the other message you're giving when you.
Yeah. And take your child and say Jazakallah khair or thank you and walk away without feeling guilty that what you have done, oh, everybody will talk about it. Let them talk. That's why you need to work on your confidence. Because if you have the confidence, if you work on your people pleasing skill, if you worked on your emotional regulation, then only you can apply it. If you are like, oh, what will they say? What will that say? Will I say it in a very heavy tone or a soft tone? If you're going to say that, yes, you will be shaking. You will have butterflies in your stomach because you're doing something out of your comfort zone. But you have to be strong enough. And even if your husband says, why did you go and talk to them like that? Then very gently you can tell him that, my kids come first. I know you did not like what I said. I'm sorry for that. But my child come first. I pray you understand. You've maintained. See, I'm giving you how to have the conversation, but for
we have it respectfully, basically.
Just respect and be calm. And if you're triggered that no one understands me, my husband is not on my team, my family is out to get me, everyone is against you. That energy is very negative. You will not be able to think. For you to think, logically and answer, you have to be in a calm state. So work on your emotional regulation skills as well.
That is actually the most important thing, to be assertive and, have your boundaries in place, but have it respectfully in place. Not, you wait for someone, for an incident like that only to explode. Because that happens, we have such small, windows of tolerance, or whatever you want to call it. We just explode like this, and that's what our children see. So when we have children who are difficult, guess where they're picking it up from? And many times I see that there'll be days when my daughter, or when one of my boys will act a certain way, and I will immediately ask myself the question that, is he modeling something from me? Have I been like that lately? Because and the minute I change my energy, and just today we were having a little schooling session, everything was chaotic. Because when you've got 3 or 4 kids in one room trying to study, there, why are you humming like that, mom? She's humming like that. It's like, just do your work. But that's what I would normally say. But today I was just so calm. I'm like, oh, I understand that must be annoying, and not annoying, that is disturbing you, Mustafa. It's disturbing her. And but the tone is so important. It's not necessarily what's coming out of your mouth. It's the tone with which I'm saying. I instantly saw their tone switch towards each other because I used a different tone. They pick it up like this, and it's not just them. Even Suleiman, if I say something very firmly, or if I say something very gently with a smile, his reaction is what will be different. I'm saying the same words, but he's picking up on the tone. So it's not something that we feel special needs kids just because they can't verbalize, they're not vocal, they don't pick up on these things. They do. In fact, they have a very heightened sense of awareness, pitch, tone, your body language. They pick up on all these things. So yeah, this is very useful for them as well. Even if they see you fight, they still need to see you happy together as well. Yeah.
They do. They
So I
have the
think
energy is strong.
the energy,
They
the everything. That's right. That's all we have time for today. And I am definite that a lot of mothers have so much to take from this. And this was a good recap for me as well, because you know a lot of these things, but you tend to forget, in your daily life. So thank you once again, Mariam, and hope you get well soon.
Jazakallah khair. Alhamdulillah that I was a part of this. I pray ladies benefit from it. And you can do it, inshallah. That's my message.